Illegal immigration is the cancer of Europe, and you are treating it with aspirin. So start mass deportations yesterday. The money is there, the airports are there, the detention centers are there. Round them up in detention centers and get them out before Europe dies. We want our countries, our identity, and our values back. And if you so-called sensitive socialists are looking for racists, look in your mirrors. You are the biggest racists against Europeans.
In recent parliamentary sessions, leaders from various right-wing parties across Europe have taken a bold stance against what they describe as the dual threats of illegal migration and Islamist terrorism. Their impassioned pleas call for immediate action to address these pressing issues, which they argue have led to a rise in crime and insecurity in European nations. One of the central tenets of the right-wing leaders' argument is the assertion that European judicial systems are failing to adequately address cases involving terrorism. They claim that judges often do not impose necessary deportations on individuals convicted of terrorist activities, allowing these individuals to remain in Europe.
Too many people without the right to stay in Europe are still in Europe.
For decades now, Europe has been facing the urgency and chaos of migration. Legal immigration and illegal immigration are adding up, and today the flaws in the current law, as well as in the migration pact voted on a few months ago, are such that deportations ordered by judges are not carried out in the European Union.
This, they argue, not only endangers the lives of European citizens, but also perpetuates a cycle of violence and fear. The leaders contend that many of these terrorists harbour deep-seated animosity toward European societies, aiming to disrupt the social fabric and impose their ideological beliefs.
The real problem is that they are able to enter European soil in the first place.
Europe does not need migration. What Europe needs most right now is remigration. We must eliminate all illegal immigrants who have unlawfully entered our lands against the laws of our nations. To rid ourselves of violent offenders, murderers, thieves, and terrorists who are killing people in Western Europe. Hardly a week passes without global media reporting on some sadistic murderer randomly stabbing people with a knife.
Habib Rahman, an Afghan whose asylum application was rejected, murdered his housemate in Saxony. If he had been in our custody, he would have been deported, and that woman would be alive now. Illegal immigrants and the organizations that assist them know all the tricks and endlessly prolong administrative or judicial procedures. We cannot allow this. Every deportation must include the examination of the asylum application and have an immediate executive effect.
They argue that the failure to deport these individuals represents a grave oversight and a dereliction of duty by European governments. The call for immediate deportation is framed as an essential step toward restoring safety and order within European nations. The right-wing leaders have also highlighted the correlation between increased migration and rising crime rates, particularly violent crimes such as rapes, stabbings, and knife incidents. They assert that many of these crimes are perpetrated by individuals who entered Europe under the guise of asylum seekers. This assertion raises critical questions about the integrity of immigration processes and the responsibilities of governments to protect their citizens. According to these leaders, the European Union, EU, has been slow to act on these issues, allowing a narrative of tolerance and open borders to overshadow the pressing need for security. They argue that the influx of migrants has led to significant challenges, including housing shortages and increased pressure on social services. As a result, they contend that European citizens are left to bear the brunt of these challenges while their safety and well-being are compromised. A significant point of contention in the leaders' arguments is the issue of asylum seekers. They claim that a substantial number of individuals entering Europe are not genuine asylum seekers, but rather economic migrants seeking better opportunities. This influx, they argue, is straining resources and exacerbating social tensions. The leaders insist that governments must adopt stricter measures to vet individuals claiming asylum to ensure that only those genuinely in need receive protection. This perspective taps into broader concerns about national identity and social cohesion. The leaders argue that unchecked migration undermines the cultural and social norms of European nations, leading to a sense of alienation among local populations. By framing their arguments in terms of national security and cultural preservation, they seek to resonate with citizens who feel threatened by rapid changes in their communities. Another critical aspect of the leaders' message revolves around policing and law enforcement priorities. They allege that police forces are increasingly prioritizing the needs of immigrant communities over those of local citizens. This perceived imbalance, they argue, contributes to a growing sense of frustration and helplessness among the native population. The leaders' rhetoric suggests that there is a need to recalibrate law enforcement strategies to ensure that the safety of local citizens takes precedence. They argue for enhanced police training and resources to better address the specific challenges posed by rising crime rates linked to migration. This includes not only a focus on preventing violent crime, but also addressing issues such as drug trafficking and gang violence that may be exacerbated by the influx of migrants. The urgency expressed by these leaders is palpable. They argue that the time for discussion and deliberation has passed. Immediate action is necessary to protect European citizens from the threats posed by illegal migration and terrorism. Their calls for deportation and stricter immigration policies are framed not only as a matter of national security, but also as a moral imperative to safeguard the values and safety of European societies. This call to action resonates with a significant segment of the population that feels disenfranchised and concerned about the trajectory of their nations. The leaders' ability to articulate these fears and frustrations has galvanized support for their political agendas, leading to increased influence in national and European politics. The rhetoric surrounding illegal migration and Islamist terrorism is not occurring in a vacuum. It is part of a broader trend of populism and nationalism that has gained momentum across Europe in recent years. Economic challenges, social unrest, and a perceived loss of national identity have fueled the rise of right-wing parties advocating for stricter immigration controls and a re-evaluation of the EU's policies. This populist wave often capitalizes on public fears regarding safety and cultural integrity, framing migration as a threat to the very essence of European identity. The leaders' arguments tap into these sentiments, suggesting that a return to stricter immigration policies is necessary to reclaim control over national borders and ensure the safety of citizens. While the right-wing leaders present a compelling narrative, it is essential to consider counter-arguments that highlight the complexity of these issues. Many experts emphasize that the majority of migrants are not involved in criminal activities, and that attributing rising crime rates solely to migration oversimplifies the problem. They argue that socioeconomic factors, such as poverty and lack of opportunities, play a significant role in crime rates, regardless of an individual's immigration status. Additionally, critics point out that strict deportation policies may violate human rights and international laws regarding asylum seekers. The challenge lies in finding a balance between ensuring national security and adhering to humanitarian principles. Countries must navigate these complex waters carefully to avoid exacerbating tensions and divisions within society. The recent calls by right-wing leaders to address illegal migration and Islamist terrorism reflect a crucial moment in European politics. As debates intensify and public sentiment shifts, the future of immigration policies and national security strategies will likely be shaped by these discussions. The leaders' arguments resonate with many citizens who feel vulnerable in an increasingly complex world. As Europe grapples with these challenges, it must also confront the broader implications of its policies on social cohesion, human rights, and international obligations. The path forward requires careful consideration, dialogue, and a commitment to addressing both the fears of citizens and the rights of those seeking refuge. Ultimately, the solutions must reflect a balance that promotes safety without sacrificing the core values that define European societies.